Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toaster Bros, and you guys know we love looking at these random no-name brand cards, and this one is from Soyo, and it is RX 5700 non-XT.
Yeah, we bought this thing on AliExpress for $159. It's about $20 less than the 5700 XT that you can buy from the same retailer, and it kind of looks similar to us, but we don't really know exactly what it is. We're gonna put it in our test bench and find out, but first, a word from today's sponsor. Are you tired of your unactivated Windows install on your gaming PC? Well, today's video sponsor, GVG Mall, has you covered. GVG Mall is an online marketplace to gain access to really awesome discounted game keys, and more specifically, as we mentioned, Windows 10 licenses.
It is incredibly easy to get your Windows 10 or 11 activation key from GVG Mall. Just use code TB20 to get a special discount, and then all you have to do is take that code, put it into Windows, and boom, you have an activated Windows copy.
We have been working with GVG Mall for several years now, and we love the reliability of all the products they have to offer, so be sure to check the link in the description down below. Use code TB20 to save on your next purchase of a Windows key or other product from GVG Mall.
So a little spoiler, if you've been in the PC space for a while, this card probably looks kind of familiar physically, and that is because we think it's basically an XFX 5700 that they either rebranded, or I mean, at the end of the day, the cards probably are made out of country, so they might have just gone to a few different vendors and Soyo put their own branding on it. But funny enough, if you actually go into the GPU ID, it'll literally say XFX, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting card, but the RX 5700 non-XT is a card I don't really hear a lot of people talking about. The XT model's been really popular on the used market because it's like an RX 6600, but a decent amount cheaper, but we really haven't had a chance to see the non-XT model and see how much of a step down is it and if it's worth the price. Let's go over the key specs. Now this is an RX 5700. It has 8 gigs of VRAM, GDDR6 VRAM to be exact. It is a Navi 10 GPU that was released on July 7th of 2019. It was launched at $349. It is a PCI 4.0 by 16 card. It is a 7nm GPU with a base clock of 1465 megahertz and a boost clock of 1725 megahertz. It does require a 450 watt power supply, which seems a little low in my opinion, but it does only have a 180 watt TDP, so it's a pretty efficient card. The RX 6600 is a bit more efficient, but it is still a very capable GPU with 8 gigs of modern VRAM. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is have Jackson talk about this test bench real quick, and then we're gonna dive into some testing with this graphics card and see if it's worth the trade-off from the XT model.
So for our controlled test bench environment, we have a very high airflow system featuring the Ryzen 7 5700X 240mm deep cool liquid cooler. We have an Asus TUF B550M, 16 gigs of PNY Accelerate 3600 MHz RGB RAM. We have a 1TB Team Group NVMe SSD. We have an XPG 650 watt power supply, and then we have a very nice deep cool case with lots of airflow.
Alright guys, now that we have this RX 5700 on our test bench, let's go ahead and dive into some testing, shall we? Now the games we tested are as follows. We got Cyberpunk, Red Dead Redemption 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, and last but certainly not least, your favorite Fortnite. Now a quick rundown of this GPU, as we mentioned at the beginning of this video. This is the RX 5700 non-XT, which is a slightly cut down version of the XT version that has become very popular nowadays on the used market, and this card does go for a little bit cheaper on places like AliExpress. Right now on AliExpress with this Soyo model that we have right here, you can pick the card up for $159 versus $179. So you're saving a little bit of money here, but is that savings actually worth it? Well, let's dive into the games. Now all games were tested at 1080p, and first up with Cyberpunk at 1080p, we have the high preset with quality FSR, and we end up getting an average of 76 FPS with a minimum of 49 and a max of 124. Now Cyberpunk is a very demanding game, and most of the time is our most demanding game on the test bench, so I'm not incredibly surprised with these results here, but on high settings we are getting a 60 plus FPS average, making this game more than playable with a graphics card that was released all the way back in 2019. Now I think what saves this card is it does come with 8 gigs of VRAM, and it is a PCI Gen 4 card, so even newer titles will run perfectly fine on this thing, and especially at the price point, it's looking very appealing with this first test. Now another demanding game that we like to use the built-in benchmark for is Red Dead Redemption 2 at 1080p on the balance preset. You can see the full settings on screen right here. We end up getting a minimum of 66, a max of 128, and an average of 88. Now this is an older game compared to Cyberpunk, but still incredibly demanding on max settings. This thing would be well below 60 FPS average, but getting the balance preset here, which has a mixture of a bunch of different settings from ultra to medium to low, just to make an overall balanced gaming experience, we're getting a 60 plus FPS average again. I do think you could stretch into 1440p a little bit with this card, maybe medium settings, not as much with the AAA titles unless you are using an upscaling technology like AMD FSR, but you will still get close to 60 FPS at 1440p if you want to go that route, especially considering the card is under $200. Being able to game at 1440p 60 FPS is really impressive so far. Now next up, let's get into some live action gameplay with Hogwarts Legacy 1080p high settings with ultra quality FSR. We end up averaging 90 plus FPS, 100s at times. There were some dips into the 80s here and there, but as you can see on screen, it was a very smooth experience. Running even the most basic upscaling like ultra quality FSR makes this graphics card so much smoother, even at 1080p, and the quality looks pretty much the same in my opinion. Especially if you stretch into 1440p, you're gonna wanna use something like FSR because it's really gonna allow you to get a constant either 60 FPS, or if you're targeting the high refresh rate, going with a high performance FSR, it'll allow you to get, well, probably the 100 plus FPS range you want in some esports titles that may support the technology. Now, I do want to know in the comment section down below, there's been a handful of you guys who have been against me using FSR in these benchmark videos. I'm for them because the technology is available to all graphics cards, so might as well show what the potential is of the card when actually using this new technology that is very exciting, especially for older GPUs. But let me know down below what you think of me using it, and we will try to mix in some non-FSR and FSR testing in the future just to balance it out a little bit. Now let's talk about Apex Legends, a esports title, AAA esports title that is a little bit easier to run compared to the other games we've already tested. 1080p, pretty much close to max settings on the team deathmatch mode, and we're getting a smooth 144 FPS plus. Now, if I were to build a PC with this 5700, I'd be looking somewhere like the Ryzen 5 5600 or something like a i5 12400F. You could easily build like a $700 PC with this thing, maybe even a $600 PC. At that price point, I think it competes very well with the offerings like the RX 6600 from AMD or the 6600M. I think this card is a bit slower though because the 6600 is more on par with the 5700 XT, but if you can get this card for well cheaper than that at like $159 compared to the RX 6600, which on average goes for about $220, I think you could build a really balanced system with this thing. And the model we have right here from Soyo is a very high quality looking card, way better looking than some of the other cards we bought on AliExpress recently. Now let's go into Call of Duty Warzone 2.0, 1080p balanced settings with quality FSR, and we got 100 plus FPS, 120 at times, and you can see this dying simulator where I just constantly kept dying. I know McAllister's gonna have a lot of fun making a little highlight reel out of that. I don't think I got a single kill in this run, so even though the FPS is good, it does not make you a better gamer. So 100 plus FPS, 120 at times, and with Resurgence, we were just able to keep coming back and show you guys how smooth this graphics card actually is. Now the last game we decided to test was Fortnite. Now I do like to preface with Fortnite is a very CPU dependent game, but we do like to test it because a lot of you out there are buying graphics cards for Fortnite or building gaming PCs for Fortnite. So you know what, let's test it. We got 1080p medium high settings and we're starting off with quality upscaling, which basically gave us 120 FPS with a few stutters here and there running around in a normal game. But we did decide to take off the upscaling and run native 1080p medium high settings, and we averaged about 90 plus FPS. In this case, I would recommend running the upscaling mainly because it's making the gameplay much more smooth. As you can see with the frame times, when we switch between upscaling and non-upscaling, it gets a little bit laggy. It's not as smooth. So if you are gonna run native, you might wanna go all medium settings to get a constant high refresh rate experience. But if you wanna get pretty good quality with upscaling and also not really sacrifice too much on the visuals, I would recommend running the medium high settings we have here with the upscaling technology just to make things a little bit better. All you gotta do is do the quality preset, and especially if you're going into 1440p, you definitely wanna use this, but go on the quality preset and you're gonna get a really good gaming experience. So overall, I think this card is pretty much a win. Now, again, it is an AliExpress card. These things aren't being sold on Amazon, so you have to take all that with a grain of salt and know if you're buying from AliExpress, there might be a little bit of issues here. And one thing I did find very interesting with this card, they claim that this is a Soyo card, but when you actually get the GPU-Z readout, it shows that the sub vendor is XFX, and that looked very similar to other XFX cards that we had. So I don't know if they're just taking these cards and rebranding them, or XFX is not making them anymore and sold them off to this company. regardless, they're still really cool looking cards, and I think they would make a really good addition to your current gaming PC or building an awesome new gaming rig in 2023. So yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this graphics card. Overall, I think it's a pretty good buy. It just depends on what you're looking for and what your budget is. We've been testing a lot of GPUs recently, so we've been going back and forth in terms of like $10 more expensive, $10 less expensive, and there's always going to be a debate on what the best card is, but if you're looking to save a little bit of money, the 5700 is not a bad buy, so definitely check that link down below, be an affiliate link and will help us out. Let's go ahead and bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
So we just got done benchmarking this RX 5700, which feels weird saying because we were doing this 4 years ago, but yeah, this card is still a great card. I mean, it's kind of like an RTX 2070 or like an RX 6600 in terms of new standards, and you get a lot of VRAM. It plays AAA titles, it plays esports titles. You can dabble with 1440p on this card, even in AAA titles. So there's really not much more to ask for from it. It's really just a matter of, do you want to buy a used real version from eBay, or do you want to kind of just take a little bit of a risk with this newer version?
Yeah, that's the only downside, is the only place you can buy this model at the time of recording this video is AliExpress. We've been really recommending the ones on Amazon because at least you have some sort of return policy if it shows up just totally damaged. You are taking a bit of a risk there, but if you want to dive into it, or if you're in another country where Amazon is not an option, check the links in the description down below. There'll be affiliate links, they will help us out. Let us know what you think of this graphics card. We have a couple other ones we bought on AliExpress on the way that we'll be benchmarking here soon. And yeah, let us know what you think of these videos as a whole, if there's any other games you want to see added to the benchmark rotation.
So as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros, and do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
So this card right here, we'll be playing with a custom build at PCBros.tech, and we absolutely love providing you guys with new custom builds every single day.
PCBros.tech, gaming PCs, gaming laptops, and so much more. And if you use code ToastyBros2 on checkout, you'll save 2% of your next purchase. See you guys later. Goodbye.
Peace out.
Buy some merch.
Yeah.